Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and welcome back to another series on Niger, Niger, and basically Niger or Niger, depending on how you pronounce the word. But the correct pronunciation is Niger. So anyway, from what if you haven't watched the previous reports, you may want to go and watch so that you can have some background into what's happening in Niger. But we are continuing from what have happened then, and just for those that may quit very quickly, the ECOWAS, basically the West African organization that threatens war against Niger, has actually activated their standby force with immediate effect. This is actually a breaking news, just happened within an hour ago, and this standby force is rumored to be entering war into Niger. And so I don't want to jump ahead first. I want to go through everything first, so that you know what had happened that leads up to this point. And let's start off with the expiration of the ECOWAS deadline. So ECOWAS gave the Niger coup, the junta, the coup leaders 1 week to give up their power back to the elected president. And of course, as expected, the coup leaders did not give a damn about this ECOWAS threat, and instead they actually organized a massive rally in the Niamey stadium, where allegedly 30,000 seats are all filled up in the stadium. You can see in the picture in the background. Let's see if you can zoom in. I can see you probably can find this video pretty easily on Twitter. So tens of thousands of supporters actually at the stadium. They welcomed and cheer as the leader of this coup tour around the stadium in a show of support by the people for their coup. So this comes just as the deadline was expiring, and as the deadline expires, the junta immediately closes the airspace. So the closure of the Niger airspace actually is rationalized as due to the threat of military intervention into the country, and they warn that any attempt to violate it will be met with an energetic and immediate response. By what? I do not know. My knowledge about Niger military is pretty limited. I'm not sure if what they have, to take down anything. So basically, all aircraft will be suspended from flying across the Niger airspace until further notice. So this is the situation right after the previous headlines report on the Niger, where the deadline basically ended, and we are now going into the next phase of this crisis because the ECOWAS has put out their words, Niger have reacted, and they basically chose not to do anything, and now we are into the stage of pre-war, if a war is going to happen. So there is a series of as usual diplomatic statements coming out from different countries that reflects their position. Libya, basically Libyan government, basically through this leader, issued a statement, expressed concerns about the troubling developments with Niger, and they warned that external intervention and efforts to drag the country into chaos will lead to further escalation of crisis, and resulting in security vulnerabilities within Niger and the neighboring countries. So Libya, knowing these kind of things really well, warned against such a development into the worsening of the situation in Niger. Algeria also made a statement. Algeria is very interesting because some may concern that they might actually enter into this war or this potential war, and the Algerian President Tebboune, Abdelmajid Tebboune, basically rejected any external military intervention into Niger. So they say that such an intervention will ignite the whole of the Sahel, and basically Algeria will not use its force against its neighbor. And they also try to improve their standing, or at least the image, saying that there is no solution in Niger without the participation of Algeria. And they say that Algeria will be willing to help the Nigerians to restore their constitutional legitimacy. And I think this is actually a very interesting statement, because it doesn't mean that they have to bring back the previous president, because they are only talking about constitutional legitimacy. The coup leaders can gain constitutional legitimacy by changing the constitution in a way. So this is a very interesting statement coming from Algeria. And so kind of like sitting on the fence, but saying that we are still the big boys over here, you have to listen to us, do not exclude us from the negotiation or the dialogue. But other than that, Algeria is pretty much not in the dialogue. So of course, in the West, we continue the suspension of aid to Niger. So Canada is the next one to say that they will be suspending support to the African country, saying that all direct funding to the government is now suspended, and but assistance to vulnerable populations such as health and education will continue. So of course, and all the usual Western democracy plus human right kind of thing statements. And and then they say that the democratically elected government must immediately be reinstated. So this is the statement coming from Melanie Joly, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Canada. The Italians are a bit more interesting. They basically do the reverse of military deployment. They actually withdrew troops from Niger. And the Italian government said that they have cut the number of troops in Niger to make space for civilians at its military base, carrying 65 of their soldiers and 10 US soldiers out from Niger, Niger's capital, and they landed in the Pratica di Mare military base near Rome. And it's interesting. They say that this is just to optimize accommodation capacity, so that they can take in more civilians, compatriots in case of an emergency. So they took out 85 soldiers, so they opened up 85 beds. Super helpful. Okay, so and Italian foreign minister also made a statement. He said no to military solution in Niger. Antonio Tajani basically said that the only way is the diplomatic way, and I think this is also I also agree, this should be the only way. And they say that he's kind of worried. He said that the ultimatum of the ECOWAS expires on the day that he was making this statement, and he hopes that this deadline will be extended. And so since we have already passed, I can tell you that it was not extended. EU on the 8th of August made a statement saying that they will not recognize the Niger coup, the military coup, the junta, and they will basically act accordingly to basically every program they have between EU and Niger. They say that they will be strongly and firmly supporting decisions by ECOWAS. So this probably is not going to go very well, because if ECOWAS go to war, is EU going to support the war effort? This is actually a very interesting statement from EU to say that they have unconditional support, or at least very strong support for ECOWAS. But then ECOWAS is heading to a place that is unknown, and later you will know why this is a kind of funny, because it wasn't supposed to end up in war. Russia also made a statement. Russia's statement comes pretty late, in September, basically just 1 to 2 days ago, depending on where you are in the world. Basically, they say that the ECOWAS military intervention against Niger will be unlikely to help to normalize the situation in the country and in the region as a whole. And he emphasized that the Niger's the neighboring countries, including Mali, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Algeria will all react negatively to such a scenario, and they feel that such a decision about Niger have to be made through political efforts and diplomatic channels, and say that military intervention by ECOWAS into an independent country will not lead to sustainable peace in Niger or stable conditions in the region. So a very neutral language from Russia, and it's interesting that they pull out Chad and Algeria as part of, as well as Mali, Burkina Faso. We already know they will be supporting Niger, but Chad and Algeria, he also mentioned them. So it's very interesting. Are these countries on the same line with Russia, in the sense that they are all, more or less vaguely, on the same side. So we are not so sure. So of course, as continuation of cutting aid to countries that really need stuff, France have cut aid to Burkina Faso because the people there doesn't worth development aids. So because their leaders want to support Niger. So basically that's it. This according to a report by Le Figaro, the total value of French development and aid programs in Burkina Faso is valued around 482 million euros, with 13 million euros sent from France to the country in 2022 alone. That sounds really not a lot in terms of the being sent in a single year, and doesn't sound like a lot of stuff. But 482 million, I wonder is how they count it. Is it across 20 years of investment? So not sure. I didn't dig into it because it's not really important, because it's gone. So Air France, not just Air France, the French airline also suspended their flight, not just to Niger, because Niger closed their airspace, right? But they also suspended flight to Burkina Faso and Mali. So that is very unusual, because why would you suspend flights to these two countries? Like they can support Niger or whatever, but that has nothing to do with France, right? Yeah, it's just nothing to do with France. There's France problem with Niger is the nuclear power, troops getting ejected, or essentially the Niger junta want to eject the French troops, and that is the Niger problem. So, and Niger closed the airspace, that is still a Niger problem. So why suspend flights to Burkina Faso and Mali unless they already know what's going to happen? And that is actually worrisome. So this is the kind of signal that you want to watch when you are reading news. It's like this is something like it detaches from reality, like what's actually happening, and it's a foreshadowing of what might be happening. So delegation from Burkina Faso and Mali heads to Niger. This is, they call this an expression of solidarity, but I feel that this is actually to discuss war plans. So they're probably meeting up and discuss military plans and arrangement, and to decide a military strategy on how to fight this potential invasion by ECOWAS. And if you look at the map, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali basically is a trio, and this makes them one super country right in the middle of the Western Africa. So it's not going to be easy for the Western African countries to just march in. Of course, most of this place is just desert, but the ISIS is still roaming around in Syria in the desert. So don't assume that it's a desert and task. It's not. It will be easier than in Ukraine. Not true. Just ask the people fighting on Arrakis, in Dune. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. If you don't get the joke, then yeah, it's okay. So let me see, where am I? So interesting development that because I was very busy, so when this thing happened, I didn't manage to really comment about it as soon as it happens. But Victoria Nuland meets with the junta, And I find this is really amazing. So the American representative, the Deputy Secretary of State, basically in other countries, this is something like a foreign minister, deputy foreign minister, and basically conducted a trip in secrecy and basically managed to actually enter the country. He met with Brigadier General Musa Salo Barmo, and who is named the military chief of staff. However, so she basically warned Niger, not to bring in the Wagner mercenaries. This is one of the things that she was talking about. She actually spoke with them for 2 hours. So there's a lot of things that they've talked about. That's just one of those things that was being mentioned. But I have to say that there is actually no concrete information suggesting that Wagner is in Niger. And so these are a lot of just American, how to say, discomfort that there's a possibility that the Wagner forces might enter the country. And then she mentioned that the military authorities is very strict about how they want to proceed. And then they say that she did try to meet President Bazoum, the disposed president, but this was not accepted. So they end up just speak on the phone. So she also did not manage to meet with the leader of this junta, basically Omar Chiani. So it's interesting that the trip is like a semi-success of sort, depending on how you see success. But for me, it's like able to meet certain people is a kind of success. To what the Americans want, actually, you do not know. And for me, when someone so high level from the Americans enter into a chaotic place, reminds me of the European and Western leaders entering Ukraine and saying a lot of things, meeting people before the Maidan, the Euro Maidan disaster, I would say, overthrowing of the elected president of Ukraine. It just gave me the similar vibes. Like there is a hand in this. The Americans have some kind of hand in this. Like, why would the American Deputy Secretary of State able to enter the country? Because, yeah. So anyway, on top of that, the Americans also, Blinken actually met with the Algerian foreign minister, and they basically align what their aims are. And apparently they have some kind of alignment. They say that there is compatibility in their country's position and their endeavor to favor peaceful solutions that spares the region from danger of military options. Of course, this is just statement. Don't believe it. They are just trying to align their what is to happen and make sure that they are not shocked or not surprised by the development. I believe that's the case. So they reviewed the realities and prospect of Algerian-American relations. Yeah, that sounds like a very interesting way to put it. So they're trying to make sure that they are all on the same page. And yeah, something to watch. I think this is something very interesting. Of course, I have no conclusion into what it is, but I'm just saying that this kind of thing is worth watching. And then in the previous report, I mentioned about the Senate, being rumored that they rejected war as a solution. And then it was, since the report, it was confirmed that it is real. But then information then come out that the Senate basically is retracting their position. Is seemingly they're now saying that the president had never asked them for permission. The president is simply telling them, giving them a message. Hey, we're gonna do these things, and I just want you to support my division. And the Senate just simply supported the diplomatic effort, but they did not want to support the war. But they have no, authority to stop the president from going to war, apparently, because they say that the president, by virtue of the correspondence, has not asked for the approval of the Senate to go to war. And I say that it is an error. error of the reporting by some medias, including DPA, I guess. And they say that this is basically the Senate only call for the president to strengthen diplomatic and political options. So another article also put it in another way, saying that the president only merely communicated to the Senate about the bloc's decision to use diplomacy and cited the use of force as a last resort. It was never a request. Right, never said. What? So the Senate have no power to stop the Nigerian president from going to war. Now you heard it. I'm actually blown away by this this rollback of the. So that means there won't be a constitutional crisis in Nigeria, as I thought it might be. However, the Supreme Islamic Council within Nigeria has not also opposed against sanctions and military intervention. So the Professor Salisu Shenhu, the Deputy Secretary General of this organization, say they call on the government of Nigeria and ECOWAS to tread the path of dialogue instead of resorting to military intervention. So I agree, killing is wrong, in the Quran. Don't go to war. And so ECOWAS made a decision to call for yet another extraordinary meeting, which is going to happen on Thursday, which is actually happening right now, and or just a few hours ago. And yeah, they will be considering and discussing the political situation and the developments in the Niger during the summit. So with this summit being arranged, they decided to try to give it another try to go to Niger for a second trip to try to talk it out. And this time around, they are bringing the African unions and they're also bringing the United Nations along with them to meet with the coup leaders. And they say that according to the RFI, the French broadcaster, they say that this delegation is going to arrive in the coming hours. Like it was very instant. Like we're gonna go in and like have a last minute talk, make sure that this does not go any worse. And guess what? It went worse. The ECOWAS delegation is rejected from entering Niger. So the coup leaders told the ECOWAS that they cannot receive this proposed mission for security reasons. And basically it rejected the entire delegation, including the African Union and the United Nations. And this entire security reasons is probably also related to the threat coming from ECOWAS. So it's actually very interesting how they are rejected. So they are rejecting them because they are the ones sending the military threat, I guess. So this is a kind of a conundrum. And this basically ends the diplomatic part of things, I would guess. Because if they don't meet, they don't talk, then yeah. So this is very interesting because I did saw another article that claims that the coup leaders are looking to talk to ECOWAS. And I feel that there are still misinformation going around trying to make the ECOWAS make the Niger coup leaders look weaker and look like ECOWAS is more on the winning side, this kind of thing. And then I saw this article, this by CGTN. So instead of the website that I didn't really know who I'm not familiar with them, CGTN is actually a Chinese national media. So this actually is more credible in that sense. And I think this is actually the correct one. And then I saw all the other reports that corroborates this information. So yeah, they were rejected. And interestingly, while they rejected that group, this emir of Kano, the former emir of Kano, apparently this rabbit is actually a prominent traditional religious leader. So and of the region. So he's a Nigerian emir, and he really looks like a rabbit. Like I'm nothing racist about this. This is objectively looking like a rabbit, like rabbit, the rabbit head. I can show you more. Is it like a rabbit? Is it like a rabbit? See? And this is the meeting. This is actually the photo of the meeting of the emir and the coup leader. And yeah, this is actually his image, though. This is the way how he tie. I'm not sure if this is the his tribe's way of tying the turban like thingy, or this is just his personal image. So I just thought it's a very cool, like you know, he look at you seriously and talking to you. You know, you have to do good, and then you have to control yourself and not laugh. But no, but no, he's a respected leader. You know, you cannot be so rude to him. Okay, so yeah, cannot be like that. So, and Niger is not sitting and doing nothing. So it's interesting that they received the emir, but they rejected the ECOWAS. So it's a statement as well, you know, to tell ECOWAS that no, I don't have no respect for you guys, but I have respect for these religious leaders. And then they proceed very quickly. They have announced a new prime minister. So this prime minister is a former economy minister, Ali Mohammed Lermin Zaine, and basically he will be the one who will be leading the government in Niger, in this transitional government. And soon after, they actually announced 21 ministers. So a list of 21 people will be ministers in this new government. And so things are moving really quickly politically within Niger, and they are not slowing down. And within this 21, there are some of them are generals that is part of this military coup, so which are leading the defense and interior ministries. So 3 of the coup leaders are named Minister of Defense, Interior, and the Sports. So it's yeah, it's interesting. They actually one of them took sports. Maybe that's like personal request. Maybe he liked football. So now we go into the serious things. While all this is happening, there is a alleged French aircraft flew into the no-fly zone of Niger, and the Niger military junta declared a high state of alert. They accused the French of attacking a National Guard site and breaching the country's airspace. They say that they attacked a position of the armed forces and liberated some of its terrorist allies. And then he said that 16 of the imprisoned terrorists in the area of Liptako Gourma, Liptako Gourma has been freed. 16 terrorists, and this region is actually the tri region. So around this area here, around Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, this entire area. So basically, it's the western part of Niger, and they actually have a lot of details about all these things. They say that there's a military aircraft used by the French forces took off at 6:01 a.m. from Chad, and then they cut off air traffic communications and entered the airspace between 6:39 and 11. Very specific information. But what is this aircraft actually doing? Are they really attacking a Niger military space? Military site is unclear, because we cannot take such information just at their words for it. And French very quickly rejecting this accusation. They say that this is groundless accusation. They say that the French forces position in Niger at the request of the legitimate Nigerian authorities to combat terrorist group, which is referring to the previous government, not the current government. So the previous government requested the French to be in the current country, and he said that the France say that this statement is an attempt at diversion, while ECOWAS was trying to step up mediation effort. Why would you need to divert mediation effort? Like, no, it's not like it's like a military offensive. Like, how do you oh, I don't want to step up, never mind, maybe I'm just stupid. Okay, so then they say that area movement carried out in Niger today was subjected to prior agreement and technical coordination with Nigerian forces, and authorization confirmed in writing. So they acknowledge that the flying into Niger is true. There is indeed a French aircraft flying into Niger, However, they say that there's no attack on Nigerian camp. Nigerian camp occurred. No terrorists were freed by French forces. So, very interesting turn of events, and is also very cognitive dissonance. I would say that the France is running on the mandate of the previous government that was being overthrown, thus claiming that they have the right to be in the country, where the current government, which overthrew the previous one, say that they have no rights to. So this is going to not be good. So coming to near real time, ECOWAS extraordinary meeting number 2 is going to happen, and just as they open, the Mr. Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, basically made a statement. He says that they reaffirms their commitment towards democracy, human rights, and they will prioritize diplomatic efforts, diplomatic negotiation and dialogue as the bedrock to the approach. So they say that they will engage all parties, to convince them to relinquish power and reinstate Bazoum. And basically, it's their duty to exhaust all avenues of engagement to ensure the swift return to constitutional governance in Niger. So basically saying that blah blah blah, saying that everything is going to be very important in this meeting, and basically commentators or news articles are basically reading this as, oh, there's not going to be a military effort. No, there's not going to be military intervention, and a lot of articles just before this also assess that Nigeria or ECOWAS will not go to war. Then this happened. ECOWAS president made a declaration that they have directed the defense staff to activate the ECOWAS standby force with all its elements immediately. Basically, they activating the entire of the standby force of ECOWAS. And the action is to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. And this resolution is being read, saying that so basically this is the resolution is read to order the deployment of ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger, underscore its continued commitment to restoration of constitutional order through peaceful means. So peaceful means, but they need to activate the entire standby force. And some of these articles basically jump ahead and say that they are going to war, they're preparing for war. And I would say it's looking like it. It's looking a bit like it, because if you look at Nigeria's Senate tracking back their statements, saying that, oh, this is just they are just informing the Senate. Yes, it's not asking Senate for permission to go to war, kind of thing. It's like, yeah, it's a precursor to what's to come, including the France Air France are deciding to not fly to Burkina Faso and Mali. These are all signals of things is about to happen, and all the statement about they are going to prioritize dialogue, and then suddenly they mobilize the troops, means that the first part is not true, it's not real. And then we have to go into some of these funny things just to lighten things up. Not very lightening, but there is rumors. These rumors, because this is a Western media style, where they say military official on the condition of anonymity. So this kind of things is half of it is fake news, then the other half is exaggerated news. So take this with a massive pinch of salt. It's a rumor. Basically, the Niger Junta basically told Victoria Nuland that they will kill the president, the disposed President Bazoum, if they were attacked militarily by ECOWAS. And basically, this statement told to Victoria Nuland was heard by US officials, which then confirm this story and told the media while saying that they are not supposed to tell the media. There's a major problem with United States. You guys need to sort out your discipline. Operational discipline is terrible. If you're not supposed to tell the press, don't tell the press. So this is called corruption. To be honest, I'm quite sure he's getting some coffee money for this kind of thing. And just to end the entire thing with a very, very serious note, the United States and the United Nations is worried. They're very worried because the ousted Niger president is forced to eat uncooked rice and pasta. Then the first thing I read this headline was, the people of Niger suddenly opening their eyes and saying, "What? You have rice and pasta?" So it's like, you got food? So so basically, the UN and the US say that the military coup leaders, based on reports, which probably is just unverified reports, saying that the coup leaders are denying him fresh food, water, and medical care. And then I'm not sure how much medical care you need while you are just being closed in your house for 2 weeks. But yeah, no water, I don't think so. But anyway, they say that he's being forced to eat dry rice and pasta, and then they are deprived of all human contact, despite everyone seems to be freely calling him on the phone, and he's able to send articles through email and write columns, and so with no access to food and medication, reported by CNN. So yeah, and then so the rumor all came from this alleged text message to a trusted friend that was made public, saying that he's being kept isolated and forced to eat dry rice. So one single sentence came out with one massive article that then created reactions from United Nations Secretary General and also the United States Secretary of State Department, sorry, the State Department, and then talk about the welfare, and then saying how terrible it is. I'm quite sure he have water. Definitely have tap water at least. He's living in the presidential palace. And no human contact is also impossible. Because the coup, the junta, is going to have soldiers guarding him, making sure that he cannot run away, he cannot be rescued. So it's impossible that he have no human contact. So eat dry rice is also impossible, because if there's soldiers getting food, on the daily basis, they get their rations, I'm quite sure they're going to give one portion to the president. So anyway, this is the situation in Niger, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and you are now up to date to whatever is happening, and from now on you can just keep track on what's coming next. What is the reaction of ECOWAS? What is the reaction of Niger? What is France going to do? I think the rest of the diplomatic actions around is not very meaningful anymore, because I think that the chess. So now I'm in the conclusion. The chess pieces has been all set, and it's just matter of war or no war. And I think everyone knows their place. Everyone knows what to do, and people like us in public is just waiting to see how this thing develops. Anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, subscribe, and comment below if you want, what you have comments about all these things, or any suggestions, or if you like me to continue this coverage, do also let me know. And for those that are able to watch to this point, 39 minutes long, you are a hero. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.